Hi everybody. Thanks for joining me virtually. Sorry I couldn't be with you in person today, but I had COVID and I had been coughing like crazy, so it's nice to see you. And we're going to do some yoga today. I know you guys have been talking about identity, and yoga is a great place to sort of learn who you are. The interesting thing about yoga is that it gives you a ton of feedback on your body, on your mind, on your thoughts and emotions. It gives you a lot of feedback on how you respond or react to things. So I'll encourage you, while we're moving through our practice today, just to kind of notice who you are and how you are being while you're practicing these different postures that we're going to move through. And this is going to be a nice, gentle practice, perhaps with just some things that feel slightly challenging, but mostly just easy on the body. And again, the practice of yoga is a practice of the mind rather than a fitness journey. So we're going to sort of begin to turn inward. Let's start by just laying down. So you're going to get comfortable, pardon me, on your back in whatever way feels good to you. I like to have my knees bent most of the time. My hands just fall naturally onto my stomach, but your legs and arms can go wherever is comfortable for you. And we'll just start to settle in. So start to connect your body with the earth. Notice where you feel it. So maybe behind your legs, maybe under your feet, maybe behind your hips, on your back, behind your head, your arms. And you'll just let yourself melt into your mat. You'll let yourself be grounded and supported. So as our body settles, we begin to turn our attention toward our mind, noticing what's present, how we're being in our minds today. What is the quality of our thoughts? What is the pace of our thoughts? What patterns do you notice? Now we turn our attention toward our breath. We just start to notice where we feel that breath in our body. Excuse me. Is that in your nose? Is that in your chest, your ribs, your belly? And if you notice that your breath is lying just in your chest, see if you can expand that breath so that it begins to move into your ribs and move into your abdomen, so that you feel a sense of expansion as you inhale and a sense of drawing down as you exhale. You'll take a few breaths just like that, really knowing as you inhale that you're inhaling, and as you exhale that you're exhaling. So being present with that breath. And coming into the present moment allows us to calm our nervous system, therefore being more open to the feedback that this practice can give us, and therefore more open to getting to know who we are as people. And when we know who we are, we can begin to make the changes that we want to make. And in yoga, we practice an ujjayi breath, and you do not have to practice this today, but I will educate you on how it works. We inhale through our nose, we exhale through our nose, and in that ujjayi breath, we feel the sensation of the breath moving in the back of the throat, and then we feel it coming back out at the back of the throat. So it makes a bit of a sound. If that doesn't feel comfortable, you don't have to do it. And if you ever want to ask me about it when I'm in person, you can ask me to kind of teach you that ujjayi breath. If it comes naturally, great. If it doesn't come naturally, great. You find a way to breathe that's nice and deep, that's nourishing to your system, that feels good as you are today. my hands together and I'm going to bring them to prayer at my forehead. And I'm just going to gaze inwardly at the space between my eyebrows. Now I'm not crossing my eyes and creating any tension there. I'm just generally bringing my awareness to that area where my hands are resting. And I'm just going to find an intention for today's practice. And an intention is not a goal. There are no set of objectives associated with an intention. It's more just a way of being. And if an intention doesn't speak to you today, you're welcome to find an affirmation and repeat that affirmation as many times as is necessary for you today. And then we're going to start to gently move. Let's start by just bringing our knees in toward our chest and just massaging our low back. So you can grab onto your knees or you can give yourself a hug. Whatever you grab on is just right. Those knees don't have to be pulled completely into the chest. Wherever they fall is just fine. And you know, if you want to move those legs around in a circle or side to side or back and forth, whatever feels good as you massage your low back, you give yourself what you need. Getting to know ourselves through the process of yoga. And then we'll come to the center. We'll place our hands on our knees with our fingertips pointing toward our toes, and we'll exhale and pull our knees in. And as we inhale, we're going to press away, but keeping our shoulders on the earth. We'll exhale, we'll pull our knees in toward our chest, and as we inhale, we'll press away. So we're engaging to start with in some postures that assist with digestion, but also begin to warm up the hips, pulling the knees in as we exhale. Inhaling to push them away. We'll do a couple more. And then we'll bring our arms down by our sides. Our knees are going to stay where they are, so our feet are lifted from the ground. And as we inhale, we're going to lift our arms and lift our legs. So our arms come overhead and our legs come toward the sky. And as we exhale, we bring it all back to the starting position. We'll inhale, we'll lift, we'll reach. And as we exhale, we'll bring it all down. Now, arms and legs don't have to come completely straight. They don't have to come all the way up. Again, we're getting to know ourselves. We're getting to know our bodies and our patterns. And you might notice that your mind wanders away as we practice yoga today, and that's okay. You just bring it back. Bring it back to the breath or to the movement or to the affirmation or intention. We'll do a couple more just like this, reaching and bringing it down. And then reaching and lifting and bringing it down. So again, the legs stay where they are. The arms come to a T, and we're going to drop our knees off to the left. We'll pull our knees into the center, and then we'll drop them over to the right. So we're twisting. We're pulling our knees to the center, dropping to the left. Knees to the center, dropping to the right. So watch your low back here. You're going to want to use the muscles of your abdomen to control this movement so that we don't strain things. I'm feeling a little activation in my core, and that's good. The core's job is to stabilize the body while the limbs are in motion. We're going to come over to the right, and we'll stay in our twist. So you can straighten your legs. You can stagger your legs. You can bend both legs, stacking the knees. It's up to you. I like to take my right arm and bring it on to the left leg here to kind of hold things in place. And then I'm looking off to the left and I'm breathing. And it's a little harder to breathe because the lungs are just slightly compressed here in this twist. So we must be more intentional. Again, notice what comes up. Notice what emotions come up. Notice what thoughts come up. Notice what happens in your breath. This is a process of getting to know ourselves, of finding our identity. Let's come to the other side. Again, now my right arm reaches out, my left hand kind of holds things in place, and I look off to the right. And I just notice kind of what comes up. I can feel, oh, I'm kind of tensing up around my shoulders, kind of tensing up around the shoulder blades, and I notice and I let myself relax, kind of tensing up in the hips. I let myself relax. Again, I get to know myself. Yoga teaches us about the patterns of our mind, the patterns of our body, teaches us about the patterns of our breath. Let's come back into the center and massage the low back again. So after a twist, it's nice to neutralize the low back by just massaging it a bit in whatever way feels natural and gentle and useful to you as you are today. And then we'll come up to seated. So you can come over to your side and push up, or you can do a few rock and rolls. I like to come up rolling on the back and a few times, just like a back massage. I can feel a little bit of cracking in my back, and I love that. And then I'm going to come up to my seated position. This is called Sukhasana, so our easy seated position, crisscross applesauce, like your teacher might have called it when you were a child, but we find our sits bones, we sit up tall. So I'm finding a bit of length in the spine. I'm letting my shoulders come down and back, and at the same time I'm finding those same muscles of the abdomen so that I can support my low back. And we're going to start to just look to the right and then into the center. We'll exhale, we'll look to the left, and we'll come to the center. So starting to work out any tensions that we might have in the neck just by looking side to side, guided by our breath. One more each way, so to the right and to the left. And then into the center, we'll inhale, we'll draw our shoulders up toward our ears, and then we'll take our shoulders down and back. So this is a gentle movement. We draw those shoulders up, and then we take them down and back. We'll do a few more. Two. And one. Shoulders are down and back. We drop our chin to our chest. Right ear to right shoulder, chin to chest, left ear to left shoulder, chin to chest, and we go back and forth a few times, loosening up that neck. And as we move and breathe, we just notice what comes up. Does the breath get stuck anywhere? Do we want it to be more shallow? Do we need to lengthen it out a bit? Does the mind wander to this or that or before or next? We gently guide it back. We come to the right and we stay. So that right ear comes to the right shoulder. We'll bring our left fingertips to the earth, staying here a few breaths. We notice our patterns. Does our mind wander more when we're still? Does it wander more when we're moving? All of this information is important. It allows us to get to know ourselves. And once we know ourselves, we can make those changes if we want to make them. Let's bring our chin to our chest, left ear to left shoulder, right fingertips come down, we'll stay here. Nice deep breaths. And then our chin comes back to our chest. Let's inhale, we'll reach our arms up and overhead. And as we exhale, we'll turn our palms out and we'll bring our fingertips to the earth. We'll inhale and our palms will reach toward each other, and we'll exhale, we'll turn them out, and our fingertips will come to the earth. A few more. Getting a little mobility in the shoulders. Two. And last one. Let's come over to our hands and knees now. we're coming to tabletop. We drop our belly, we lift our gaze. And as we exhale, we round, and we'll take it back into our child's pose. We'll inhale, we'll come forward, we'll drop our belly, we'll lift our gaze. And as we exhale, we round and find our child's pose. We'll do that a few more times. Come forward, drop your belly, lift your gaze, big inhale. The exhale allows us to round and send our hips back to our heels. Come to our child's pose and we'll stay. So I create space between my knees. I have a V here. So when I come down, my chest has a lot of space to come down, therefore a lot of space to breathe. The arms are overhead. Spread your fingers wide, walk your hands forward, enjoy that stretch. Stay here. Notice what comes up. What do you learn about your mind? What do you learn about your body? What do you learn about your breath? And from here we have a lovely chance to stretch our sides. So we walk our hands off to the left. And we take a side bend. So I'm kind of fanning my ribs out here as I stretch. So I can feel myself putting space between my ribs. Getting a nice stretch of the side body and the shoulder. A stretch we don't get every day. Let's walk it to the other side. That might require shifting the legs somewhat. We'll walk over. And still we breathe deeply. We take that air in, we send that air back out intentionally. What do you notice about yourself? What do you learn about yourself? We'll come back into the center. We'll come back to our tabletop and we'll tuck our toes under and we'll lift our hips high, take our heels low. There's our downward facing dog. So we're in an upside down V. And if you have socks on, this is where we might want to start to take them off so we have a little more traction. I like to spread my fingers wide here, press into the fingers, taking stress off the wrist, dropping the heels low with a bend in the knee. And then I invite that stretch in. So that hamstring stretch can be kind of tough. The hamstrings are often tight. And then we're going to come forward just a little bit, and then we'll come back to our downward facing dog. So we're just hinging back and forth. We come forward just a little bit, and then we take it back. So this allows us to just kind of warm things up just a little bit. We're not coming to a plank. We're just coming forward. We inhale, come forward a little bit. We exhale and lift our hips. Couple more. Beautifully done. And then we're going to walk our hands back to our feet. So that puts us into a standing forward fold and another chance to stretch those hamstrings, another chance to get to know ourselves. And then we're going to come up. So bend your knees, find the backs of your legs and inhale as you bring your arms out and up and overhead. And as you exhale, bring your hands to heart center. We're going to stay here a moment. Close your eyes. Let everything settle. And just notice. If you need to change your breath and just sigh out, take a moment and sigh. When I first started yoga teacher training, our teacher said, oh my gosh, you're going to learn so much about how your system works. And by system, she meant mind, body, breath. And I thought, girl, I already know how my system works. And truer words have never been spoken. I learned so much about myself that I did not know. and I'm still learning. Let's bring our right foot forward. All our toes are gonna face forward and we're in a high lunge. So we have a bend in our back knee, we have a bend in our front knee, we bring our arms up and overhead. And as we exhale, we're gonna come down, gently bring those arms down. As we inhale, we're gonna straighten and reach up. As we exhale, we come down, we bend both knees. And as we inhale, we reach up. Take an exhale, come down and inhale. Come up a couple more. 2. And 1. Bring your hands to your heart and we're going to take a twist so that left elbow comes across. Here's our twist again for digestion, but also we're strengthening our legs. We're balancing. We notice what comes up. We breathe. Stay with it, breathing. And then we're going to unwind and bring our hands down. Drop that back knee so that brings us into a low lunge, and you can stay right here with those hands down on your blocks or down on the floor, or maybe you want to bring those hands up onto your knee. Maybe you want to bring your hands behind you, interlacing your fingers, lifting your chest. Maybe your arms want to come overhead. You decide. And we breathe. And we notice what comes up. What comes up in your mind, what comes up in your body, what comes up in your breath. And then those hands are going to come down. So we're bringing our hands to the inside of the right foot, and we're going to let the right foot walk out a little bit. So this is a lizard lunge. So just a little bit different. And again, you can stay on your hands, or this time maybe you want to come down a little bit. It's up to you. Get to know your body and what it needs. And your body may not do the same things mine does, but that does not mean one is right or the other is right. It just means that bodies are different. And what do you notice? What comes up? What kind of thoughts? What kind of emotions? Those are our patterns. We're just getting to know them. This is just feedback. Let's come back up. And we're going to try and come back to our down dog. So we'll lift up. I round my spine, and then I take my right foot back. And I'm back in my down dog, and I can feel right from left. It feels different because one has been stretched and one has been not stretched. So we walk our hands back. And we come up, we reach high. Our hands come to our heart and we stand tall again in our mountain pose, and we just kind of notice what we're experiencing. If you need a big sigh, you take it. I notice my heart is beating a little faster, a little harder. My breath is a little more shallow. So I'm trying to bring everything back into equilibrium. Just noticing that my patterns have changed a little bit, and I just bring it back. Left foot steps forward, and we find that high lunge. Our arms come overhead. Again, there's a bend in the back knee too. We inhale, we come up. We exhale and come down. We'll do a few more. And then we come all the way down, and we find that low lunge, whatever that variation is for you. Maybe you want to stay down, come up to the knee or behind you, or maybe you want to join me by reaching your arms overhead. And this way, I am using my glutes to support my low back. I don't want to overstretch. In fact, people are concerned that they're not flexible enough for yoga. But being too flexible in yoga might be more dangerous than being not flexible, because you can stretch ligaments and tendons, leading to things moving around in a way that's not supporting your joints. And then we'll release. Hands come down to our lizard lunge. And you find your variation of lizard lunge. Maybe you want to come all the way down. Maybe you want to stay up. Maybe you use your blocks. And I just want to remind you that anytime something is not comfortable in yoga or you don't want to go into that position, you can take child's pose. You can take seated. You can take shavasana by laying on your back. This is never about forcing you into doing something that your body or your mind is not comfortable in. Though I suppose a little discomfort is part of the process. But if you find yourself in a place that just is not compatible with your body and mind at that time, then you take the steps, knowing yourself, to move away from that which is causing pain. We bring our hands up, we tuck our back toe, we round, and we come back to that downward facing dog. We'll stay here a moment and kind of stretch things out. Maybe feeling a little better in down dog now. And then we'll come back to hands and knees. We'll find a few cow-cats. Skipping the child's pose piece of it. And then we're going to come on to our back to a seated position. We'll let our legs come long in front of us. We'll inhale and reach high, and as we exhale, we'll come about halfway down. Inhaling, we'll come up to a nice tall seat, and as we exhale, we'll come about halfway down. And then we'll come all the way down. We'll stay. Come back onto our back. So we're going to find that twist again. So our arms come to a T, and we'll drop our knees off to one side, whichever side you like. You find that position that you like for your body as it is today. We do twists at the end of a yoga practice because they're neutralizing to the spine, excuse me. Let's switch sides. Come back to the center. We're going to find reclined pigeon. So right ankle comes over to the top of the left knee, excuse me, and then the left foot can stay on the floor. You can lift it. And you can straighten that left leg if it's lifted, or you can bend it halfway, or you can bend it all the way. You'll notice that it kind of calibrates the stretch that you're getting based on how bent that knee is. And this is a time where extended exhales can be very useful. So if you want to extend your exhale a couple counts past your inhale, now's a great time, and that's going to send a message to your system to really calm down. It's going to calm your nervous system, which is what yoga does. Let's switch sides. Continuing with that extended exhale, if you like that. I love it. I use it every day of my life. I teach all my clients an extended exhale because it's physiology, it works. It calms the nervous system. And then let's release and find a big stretch. So let your legs go long, let your arms come overhead. Take a big stretch as you inhale. And as you exhale, a sigh. Letting it go. Take a big inhale. And then a big exhale. One more big breath in. And then that big exhale. And then we'll take Shavasana. So you come to a position that feels comfortable. And we're going to stay here and rest and be supported, just like at the beginning. Find those places. Let your body settle in. And we'll stay here, let go of the breath. But let yourself be present and supported. Let yourself absorb the benefits of your practice. Integrating what you have just done. And now you'll start to reawaken. You'll take your time moving your fingers and toes, maybe moving your wrists and ankles, just being gentle with yourself, noticing what you need as you reawaken from your practice today. And we'll meet in a nice tall seat. So come on up, find your sits bones again, find that nice tall spine. And once again, you'll reach your arms out and up and overhead. And as you exhale, you'll bring your hands to your heart. You'll close your eyes. You'll come back to your intention or your affirmation. Maybe you connect to some piece of yourself that you're learning about, some part of your identity that's unfolding. Thank you for joining me today. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may you be at ease. I bow to you. Namaste. I hope you'll take a few moments and just consider how the practice affected your system today, your mind, your body, your breath, if there were any benefits that you felt, or if there's just been any shift at all in you and in your system. It's good to have you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.